Hello, and welcome to NQ News Live with me, Rory Gannon. Here are today's top stories. Investigations are underway following a fatal stabbing of a young boy in Salford. Coronavirus is no longer the top cause of death in England. And Manchester students reflect on the importance of the environment as we celebrate Earth Day. But first, a 17-year-old boy was murdered in Salford last night. Connie Ensler joins me now with more information on the incident. So, Connie, what do we know at this point?
So what we know, Rory, is that Greater Manchester Police are currently in Salford investigating the murder of a teenager last night. And they were called at around 8:15 p.m. with reports of an incident on Peveril Road, and the street is currently taped off. There are forensic officers at the scene carrying out investigation work. The 17-year-old was taken to hospital with a stab wound to his chest, and he sadly died shortly after. Then later in the night, police were called to a home on Stowell Street, which is a street near the one where the stabbing took place, after reports of another boy having been stabbed in the arm. By the time they got there, the teenager had already gone to hospital himself.
That sounds horrific. Could there be a connection between the two incidents?
So that's a possibility. The boy who was stabbed in the arm, who's also 17, he's now been arrested on suspicion of murder, and police are saying that this was likely a targeted attack. He's in police custody, currently being questioned by detectives. And police are asking that anyone with information call 101 and quote incident 2921 of April 21st.
Oh, that sounds absolutely heartbreaking. Has there been any sort of local reaction?
Yeah, a lot of the nearby residents have expressed shock because this is known to be a very safe and quiet area. And some children were saying that they were afraid to go to school this morning, but parents reassured them that there was nothing to worry about because police are saying that this was a one-off targeted attack. And there have been flowers laying at the scene, and neighbours are expressing their condolences for the family after this really horrific and tragic loss.
It sounds absolutely tragic. Thank you very much for joining us, Connie. Yes, so COVID-19 is no longer the main cause of death in England. Dementia, Alzheimer's and heart disease have taken the lead once more, causing 5,000 deaths in March. COVID-related deaths dropped to 4,400 in March from 27,000 in January. As the vaccination rollout continues and infection rates fall, the same trend is showing in the northwest. Last week, no deaths related to COVID were registered in Manchester, with infection rates at 53 per 100,000. A dedicated operation to tackle organised crime in Salford has seen marked success after a year of conduct. Paolo Granelli has the story.
After a year of Operation Naseby, Salford has seen a significant reduction in its number of shootings and organised crime. The Operation Naseby Disruption Hub was set up in Salford during April of 2020 in response to 25 firearms discharges over the course of 12 months linked to rival criminal groups. DCI Rick Thompson had this to say.
I think initially we were told it was going to be a 6-week process where we get out there, get on the front foot, let people know that we're there and we're going to stop them, and that the types of activity they've been involved in will not be accepted. That 6 weeks rapidly turned into 6 months, which now it's a year, and we don't really see any signs of pulling back those resources because we've seen so much value for money. The amount of vehicles that we've recovered, the money that we've recovered, the drugs that we've recovered, this is all denying criminals the opportunity to carry out criminality. I would say it's exceeded my expectations, and hopefully it'll continue to do that.
Over 30 officers coordinated with resources from GMP's Serious and Organised Crime Group to conduct 179 arrests, 180 vehicle seizures, and the recovery of £500,000 worth of drugs. Firearms discharges in the area have also nearly halved. Weapons recovered have included a shotgun, 2 loaded crossbows, a number of machetes, and dozens of other knives and blades.
Today marks the 49th annual Earth Day, which was created to spread awareness of the effect of climate change. We spoke to MMU students about how important the issue of the environment is to them.
There's nothing much to it as vegans. Like it's massive. Like we sort of think about sort of environmental impact of like meat culture, even like seafood culture, and how it's affected the world. There's like that documentary on Netflix called Seaspiracy, which is really like opened our eyes, and I think everyone should really be watching that.
Yeah, the Earth has always been quite important to me. I think that the pandemic and kind of people reconnecting with nature has definitely made Earth more important to me as well.
Not particularly, no. Certain concerns of like forests and deforestation and things like that, but you know, I think there's only certain extremes to it and things like that.
Earth Day was founded in 1970 by American Senator Gaylord Nelson and has since expanded into a global organisation to raise awareness of climate change. The theme for this year, Restore Our Earth, will consist of online discussion panels, workshops, and special performances in the wake of COVID. Headlining the commemorations, climate activist Greta Thunberg will be joining President Joe Biden virtually to discuss global emission rates. You can watch the event on the official Earth Day YouTube channel. Owners of the Oldham Evening Chronicle have confirmed that the newspaper will return to print on Friday, the 25th of June this year. This will be the first time the paper will be printed regularly since 2017, after the previous owners went into liquidation. The free printed edition will be on supermarket shelves in June, with regular monthly editions, with aims to become weekly later this year. Plans to return the newspaper to print had to be slowed down due to the pandemic, but are now back on track. The newspaper will continue to be produced in an Oldham newsroom, which will also remain the base for the digital site, along with the development of a companion app. Manchester residents are preparing for a number of elections taking place in early May. Mayoral and council elections will be held across England as over 28 million people go to the polls to decide who can run local services, such as libraries and schools. Over 4,500 positions will be elected nationally on the 6th of May, of which 34 will be decided in councils across the region. Issues such as Brexit, healthcare, and the economy remain high priority for many voters. However, the impact of coronavirus and the emergence from restrictions remains the most important issue. The Mayor of Greater Manchester will also be decided, with current leader Andy Burnham standing for re-election after 4 years. 9 parties and independent candidates have submitted their applications to be on the ballot paper, as election booklets outlining their respective manifestos are published. Polling stations will be open on Thursday, the 6th of May at 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. To check where your local polling station is, go to www.manchester.gov.uk/polling stations. Losing a child at birth is a traumatic experience. After the son of Claire Relf and her husband Marcus Doyle from Greater Manchester was stillborn, they started a charity project to support other parents in the same situation with care packages. Claire has spoken to our reporter Victoria Tila about her experience.
I'd gone into hospital on the 29th of September. When I'd gone, his weight had dropped and they originally about to take me in at 37 weeks. But another consultant then decided they was going to take me in at 38 weeks. During this period, I actually went into natural labour on my own at 37 weeks and 4 days. By the time we arrived at the hospital, Jensen's heartbeat had stopped due to my placenta erupting, which we didn't realise at the time. And it turned out that we'd obviously lost Jensen in the process of between ringing the ambulance and arriving at the hospital.
And what happened after that?
We went through the process of my delivery being speeded up. And I had my mum and my partner with me. And once I'd had Jensen with, he was then moved across to the Airbell Suite in Tameside Hospital, which is where bereaved parents go with lost children. We stayed on the Airbell Suite with Jensen for 3 days, but in that process, Marcus had not brought no clothes with him, he had no toiletries with him. Obviously, I had bits and pieces, but he was having to wash his clothes, like his underwear and socks. So that's why we now decided to do these care packages for other families in the same situation, and they don't have one less stressor. So we've decided to put the packages together, and we're also going to put in for ladies as well as men who turn up in an emergency and have nothing with them.
How many of these packages have you sent out so far?
It's just gone, to be quite honest, a lot bigger than what we actually expected. We've so far got £720 in the goal from Just Giving page, which is still open. And we've got donations of toiletries coming in from here, there and everywhere at the moment. So it's quite overwhelming how big it's actually gone. So at the moment, we reckon we could probably do 25 to 30 packages with what we've got at the moment. So it is more than what we expected.
How are you coping with that loss? Is this something that's also helping you through the grief process?
Yeah, setting up the page Precious Little Treasures, that's helped me like concentrate on stuff. And I just want to help other families who's going through the same situation as what we've gone through and take one less stress off them as a family. And we also get comfort from knowing that Jensen's actually buried with my dad. So that's one of the comforts that we get, knowing that he's not actually on his own. But he spoke about every day. We've got like a big fireplace with all his pictures on, all his candles, his feathers. The little girls speak about him every day.
When you were in that hospital, what was going through your head in those days that you were there with Jensen?
One of the main thoughts was, is how we're going to go home and tell the little girls, like, one's only 7, 5 and 3 at the time. And it was like, how do you go home and tell them that the little brother's not coming home? And the best friend's mum was due to have her baby in November. And that was when the thought process is that their brother's not coming home, but they're going to see other children with their new brothers and sisters.
This was Claire Ralph on her project Precious Little Treasures. If you are interested in learning more about it or want to make a donation, we are linking to their Facebook profile and Just Giving page under this live stream and the NQ Twitter account. Claire told us that she is looking for affordable boxes and other packaging. So if you or someone you know who knows can offer that, please let her know. Now, here's the sports roundup with Niamh O'Connell.
Manchester United fans staged a protest this morning after gaining access to Carrington training grounds. The protest was against the club's previous involvement in the European Super League, which was announced on Sunday, and to the ownership of the Glazers. The club pulled out on Tuesday after other English clubs also pulled out. The International Olympics Committee has banned athletes from taking the knee and protesting against human rights abuses at Tokyo Olympics 2020 and Beijing 2022. This is after a poll was taken by the IOC, which found that 2/3 of competitors had supported the ban. Athletes could still be able to share their views at press conferences, but find that freedom of speech is not absolute and may be limited under certain restrictions, which covers the Olympic Games. England's rugby team has benched their captain ahead of the Six Nations final against France that takes place this Saturday. Poppy Cleall will start at number 8, with captain Sarah Hunter being on the bench due to a previous hamstring strain and a nerve injury in her neck. Hunter was out for 13 months but was brought back to play against Italy 2 weeks ago. Great Britain's ice hockey team has named their team's roster for a World Championship in Latvia next month. Manchester Storm's Kieran Long has been named for full championship for the first time after previously representing GB as a junior. Fellow Manchester Storm players Dallas Earhart, Ben Davis and Ben Lake have also been named as part of the roster. This announcement comes after the Manchester Storm won their game last night over Nottingham Panthers, putting them second place in 2021's Elite Series.
Thanks a lot for that, Niamh. And yes, that brings us to the end of this edition of NQ Live. So please keep in the loop by following us on our social media or by visiting thenorthernquota.org. In the meantime, thank you very much for listening and we hope you have a great day.